what Herb has sent over. And I've worked on it a little bit. I pulled the spindle out of it and gave it some new bearings. And I got a new drive belt for it. And actually the drive belts we're using these days, it's called an Opti-belt, made in Germany. And they run pretty smooth. I've been taking delivery on these belts for probably about 4 months, and I'm pretty happy with the belts. We are getting flooded by Chinese imports, and the Chinese belts do not run good. What I'd like to make mention of is our friend over in New Mexico. He goes by the name of James. He sent me a very nice selection of grinding wheels that I can play with on the new toolpost grinder. So I've kind of segregated them out there, and there's some of the white wheels, and there's some of the gray wheels, and this is kind of an odd duck here. I might have to make some kind of an arbor or something to use that. That one doesn't look like it's ever touched anything, but that's like a cup wheel there with a very large center. But I might have to make some kind of plastic arbor for that, so I can play with that. And yeah, some of these wheels still got some life in them. And James, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to using some of those. But being here on the home stretch, now I've got a running tool post grinder, and what I need to get going. Oh, here's the original belt. I don't know whether you can read that or not, but that belt says Dumore on it. So that's an original equipment there. And she's pretty haggard, but that was interesting that it still had the original Dumore belt on it. Anyways, that's probably a familiar looking layout. Tom was making something for his for that Kearney Trekker of his, and he was making a motor plate. Me, I'm just making a belt guard, 1/8 inch aluminum. The reason I'm making it out of aluminum is because I got a new TIG welder and I want to try it out. Anyways, I've done the layout, and before I make these odd cuts here, I'm going to go ahead and get my 2 holes bored. Basically, this is kind of an all-in-one shroud. It's going to be over the belt, and then right on the side of it, it's going to have another one just welded right to the end of it to do the wheel. And then you got the 1 bolt here in the center to put the whole Marianne on. But let me get this board and cut out and get all the pieces formed and ready to weld together, and I'll show it to you again prior to welding. And then I'll see if I can destroy it with my new TIG welder and melt the whole thing. Alright, here we go. Okay, so we got a little closer. I got both holes drilled, and actually all 3 holes drilled. This is the one mounting spot right here. And just barely clearing this. I might have to get in there with a rotary file and clean that out a little bit. It's pretty tight. The odds of putting that guard on every time to fit that are pretty slim. But that's got a nice clearance around it. Take you all the way around there. And everything clears and runs. Next thing we're going to do, or the next piece we got to make, is the band that goes around here that gets welded on around this main housing. So this is going to get a band from, this is the only part that's going to be exposed, and that's facing away from the operator. So the band's going to start here, go all the way around, and stop here, leaving this front part exposed because for spindle clearance and all that out in front. This is the working side, and your work's right here, so I didn't want anything sticking out in here. So the band's next, and that's pretty simple, and that'll just get cold formed. I'll just find something round that's a little smaller than this to wrap it around, because the aluminum's gonna have a lot of spring back. So I'll just give it a wrap around there, and I'm gonna measure this with a flexible tape measure and cut my piece. It'll just be a strip. And then the last piece is gonna be the little guard that goes right here that protects you from the actual grinder wheel. So your little wheel's going to go there. So there's going to have to be another one welded here, hanging out. So to get this belt guard off, wheel off first, then this last. Okay. So anyways, let me get that formed up, and then I'll bring it back after we got it kind of tacked together. We got the base plate done, and we got the band done, and we got them fitted together, and everything fit together really nice. And fired up the TIG welder. This is my first real aluminum project, and that's as good as it gets. Stand still learning, and it'll look fine. I don't have any holes in it, but I'm all over the place. And it'll look fine after it's belt sanded and polished and radiused and all that. But the whole idea of TIG welding is to have welds you're proud of and want to show off and don't want to grind. But those are getting ground. But you know what? I'm welding aluminum. Okay, here's what we got so far. I belt sanded my ugly weld, and I knew I had plenty of beef in there, but I radiused that corner on the belt sander, Scotch-Brite wheel, and then hand polished with some 320 wet sanded. It kind of reminds me of my old days building off-road cars, building belt guards and all kinds of stuff for the off-road cars. I haven't worked with aluminum in a long time, but yeah. So next up, grinding wheel 4-inch. Then I'm going to do a guard welded right to this at a 5-inch diameter. So that's a 2.5-inch radius. Okay, that's coming up next. Okay, so we're going to get started on the slip roll, and the 6061 always comes with that plastic, and I'm going to leave the plastic on until it's rolled, because it'll any little crap on the rollers. These rollers are kind of old and rusty. This is an old Birmingham slip roller. It doesn't get used much, so the rollers get rusty, and the rust will get burnished into the face of the aluminum. So leave the plastic coating on until you're done running it through the slip. And you start off with your pinch rolls out here, and just open them up equally, left and right. That's the same as these pinchers back here. And just get in there square, and bring your lower roller up to meet your top roller. I guess it would help if I had a handle, huh? And then we're going to lower our rear roller down and just get it just passing through. And for narrow pieces, eyeball centric's good enough. Get it eyeballed. And on this machine, I have to stay away from the end part of the roller. I've actually machined some grooves for rolling little wires and round stock and flat bars the hard way and stuff like that. Anyways, this is the beginning of it here. We're just going to give it a little bit and run it through, and then run it back. And we're going to advance our roller here a few turns. And roll it through. And roll it back. Off your feed roller. Advance. And you know, if you keep going, you can roll it down all the way down like a tomato can. The size of the roller is your only limitation. And these are 2-inch rollers, so they're pretty tight. Okay, advance our third roller again. We're starting to close up now. Okay, rolled it all the way out like that. We're going to check that with a radius now. Not there yet, but we're getting there. So we're going to feed it right back in. Advance our lower roller. And little bits now. We're sneaking up on it, so we don't want to overdo it here. Production runs of these things are nice. After you get it set, it's kind of a set it and forget it kind of thing. But doing onesie twosies, you spend all your time getting the first one right, and then you're done. Or maybe you make two of something, you know. Alright, we're getting pretty tight there. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, we're getting there. Just a tad. I mean, I might even be able to just put a spring pass in there and not even move the rollers and just roll it around one more time, and it might close up on that. Getting real close. Let's just run it around one more time without advancing that roller. Some kind of gain we get out of that. Very close. All right, let's do a little more. I'm going to pull that roller up. Probably like a quarter turn. It's not going to be much. Just a little bit there. Let's see how we did there. And there you have it. There's a 5-inch radius. Now, a lot of you are saying, well, you know what, Stan, if you can squish that thing down tight like a tomato can, how the heck do you get it off the roll, you know, after it's all the way down tight on the roll? Well, these things, if you don't know, this lifts and this will pick up. And you've got room to slide parts out this way. So you can actually make a 2-inch pipe out of 18 gauge, or this is 1/8 inch aluminum, but you can make a tight little pipe and it would just actually squeeze right down on this roller, but then getting it off of there, you'd have to slide it off the end like that. But that's what that feature's for on this machine. All right, let's go get this on our belt guard. Okay, so here's the final on this thing, and now we have a belt guard and our piece that we just arced. I went ahead and split this, cut it, and blended it up into that. Welded there, polished there. I had one burn through, and I'm not going to try to get in there and fill that. My skills aren't good enough. This is just getting a coat of paint anyways. This is mainly just an exercise. But in here I kind of built a web inside, and there's my ugly welds again. And I built a web down the center to give this a backbone, and it's welded here, and this is up to this point, and then it's welded on the outside over here and blended much the same as this piece here. But there's your profile there of where the grinder wheel goes. And I'll throw a closest thing I got is a worn out 3-inch, and this thing's actually down about 2.5. So that's a tiny little guy there. That's not even the right wheel, but whatever. They give you an idea where the thing's going to sit, and the wheel will be another inch in each on a radius. But and that gives me plenty of working room, and I think I got good protection there. The wheel actually sits over about there somewhere. So the wheel will be about there. So I got good protection. All right. So yeah. And what's interesting is I just went in the house. I got an email from Dumore. I requested a instruction manual for this particular grinder, and you know, I was looking around on Google and looking for this model. I wanted to see what the belt guard looked like, but look at there. How close are we there? From here to here. That was sight unseen. So that's kind of funny that I ended up pretty much with the same thing they had. Anyways, that's my aluminum fabrication, and we've got this little Dumore ready to roll. I'm waiting on some 4-inch grinding wheels to come in, and we're off to the races. All right, thanks for watching.